Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey here, once again with another video on The Flash Season 3. Now this is going to be my review for episode 14, otherwise entitled Attack on Central City. Now this is obviously the second part to the whole Gorilla City storyline, with last week us being on Earth 2, this week we're on Earth 1 for the most part. But obviously before we go ahead, there will be spoilers within the rest of this video, so if you haven't watched the episode, make sure you go do so before watching this video, because there was a couple of big reveals within this episode that I don't really want to spoil for you guys. But yeah, let's get into what I thought of the episode. So there were a couple of weird things that happened in this episode. I guess the first one was the fact that it was Valentine's Day on The Flash, 2 weeks after the actual Valentine's Day in, I guess you could say, the real world. Like, Supergirl last week had it a week late and people were complaining about that, so I wonder what people will think about it this week. I did find it funny that HR was calling it Friends Day, so there's another little difference in the multiverse. Speaking of HR, I love the two Harrison Wells interacting. It was just too good, just the way that Harry treated HR, just treated him like an absolute moron. It was just hilarious. So we got a couple of Green Arrow shoutouts in this episode, which was sort of strange. We don't see too many on The Flash. The first one obviously being when HR was calling Green Arrow a guy in an elf suit, because he did see him in the 4-night crossover earlier this season. Now surely I wasn't the only one that was sort of like, you know, taken a bit back by like Harry's reaction to Jessie telling him that she wants to move to Earth 1. Obviously he created that fake thing about, oh, I'm dying and stuff like that, to sort of like, without actually telling Jessie, you know, I want you to stay on Earth 2, and just make her feel like she has to because she thinks her father's dying. But eventually when it came towards the end of the episode and Harry was like fine with it, even though he didn't look 100% fine with it, I thought it was a good thing to happen. But I'm not too sure Jessie's going to be staying on Earth 1 for too long. We'll have to see how it plays out in the next couple of episodes. Now obviously going into this episode, we knew that Gypsy was coming back to Earth 1 because obviously at the end of last episode she was helping Grodd. And when she comes to Earth 1 and attacks Team Flash, it's due to being mind-controlled by Grodd, which wasn't too surprising. But for that to work, Grodd would have to be on the planet, because it wouldn't work over the multiverse, otherwise Grodd would be quite overpowered. So Grodd and his army are already on Earth 1. Which I was sort of surprised that they didn't pick up on. Like, I thought they would have been able to pick up on that, you know, saying there's that many gorillas and also just all of them coming out of a breach would have taken a while, so I'm surprised that Team Flash didn't pick up on that. So I guess you could say that's like one little nitpick for the episode. Now one thing I thought was really good that they had in the episode was Barry contemplating the notion of killing Grodd, because it's a thing which I think they will do next season or the season after in regards to Reverse Flash and Barry possibly killing him, or another villain along those lines, where we might get a trial of the Flash sort of storyline from the comics. And this is where we got that second comparison to the Green Arrow when, you know, talking about how Ollie kills people and he's still a hero, but he has to live every day with the fact that he killed those people, like he is a murderer. I thought it was pretty cool that Joe, like, sort of vibed, if you want to call it that, even though it was like, we didn't really see anything, but he has like a sketch of an army general who is under Grodd's control. And of course he's in charge of the worst thing possible, nuclear missiles. And the scene, I did think this whole little bit in the episode was just to fill up time, and also make it like Grodd was trying to do stuff through mind control and then it doesn't work, so he has to use his actual physical force. So I think it was just filler for the episode, but I didn't mind. I thought it was cool that Barry like did all the speed techniques and went through all the different combinations to try and stop the launch. But yeah, just a bit of filler for the episode, which wasn't boring. It was still, I guess, exciting to watch. Now, I loved the quick cameo of the Earth 19 Flash, the Accelerated Man, obviously over on Earth 19. Now, he did have a few different things going on. Obviously, his costume is just weird. It's so different than anything we've ever seen. But he sort of had like different lightning, like it looked sort of purple. I don't know if anyone else saw it as purple or a type of like bluey red. I don't know. Let me know what you thought the color was. Now, apparently, I'm not saying he is, but apparently he will be back later this season. I don't think they filmed the episode that he's going to be back, but there's, you know, rumors that he is going to be back this season. I don't know how, I don't know in what context, but if he does come back, that would be pretty cool, because the actor spoke for the Accelerated Man, so it's not like it was just like a stunt man in a suit. So I think he might be back, and if he is, that would be pretty damn awesome. Now, the battle with the Speedsters against the Gorilla Army was something I was looking forward to for the whole episode, and I was a bit underwhelmed by it. I think it was a bit disappointing, just because in the trailers and stuff like that, they had all this thing. Obviously, as I said, like the whole nuclear launch thing was sort of filler. I wish they'd scrapped that and they just put more time into this. I understand why they didn't, because it's a lot of cost for the CGI. But there was a lot of build up for this, and it was a bit disappointing. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say, oh yeah, it was fine. I guess it was cool when Savitar came to Earth 1 and battled Grodd. Like that scene where those two gorillas fought was really cool. But the actual scene before that, and I guess you could say a tiny bit after that, was a bit disappointing. I was expecting a bit more. So yeah, I can't really say I was that pleased with it. But we do learn that Grodd is now at Argus. He's under Argus's control. So he's in companies such as Black Siren, King Shark, Captain Boomerang. There's someone else I'm thinking of, and I can't really remember at this point. But really, that's set up. Like, they could have a pretty cool Suicide Squad or something along those lines, where maybe all those villains get released at once. And it could be something to do with like a crossover next year. I don't think it would be the Fortnite crossover. I think that's just, they'd be able to be taken down pretty easily. They're not too much of a threat for like all those 4 shows to come together and take on. But they could do something cool with that. Maybe King Shark and Gorilla Grodd get out at the same time, and that would be a pretty cool episode to have. Now, Cisco finally got some from Gypsy. My man. I thought he wasn't going to get it for a second, but Cisco finally got it. Gypsy will be back in episode 18, which is the episode after the Flash Supergirl musical crossover. So you never know, Cisco and Gypsy might take it to the next stage after that one. Now, one, like, what the hell scene, like, there is 2 what the hell scenes at the end, but the first one is obviously Barry proposing to Iris, and I know West Allen people are going to be like, oh, yes, but personally, it's gone way too far. Like, one issue around the West, fair enough if they want to do it on the show, it's in the comics and stuff like that, but it has been extremely rushed this season. And I know one of the like factors around it is the fact that Iris is sort of meant to die in a couple of episodes, which I guess is good enough reasoning as to why Barry would do it, but it still feels a bit rushed. Like, everything before that, even when like before they found out that Iris was meant to die, it did feel rushed. So yeah, it doesn't really make sense that first half of the season. Everything after, like, they find out that Iris is going to die makes sense because Iris is on limited time. She's on a clock. But the first half of the season, I had massive issues with the West Allen storyline because it was just so rushed. But yeah, I was a bit like, oh, okay, whatever, when Barry proposed to Iris. So I don't know if this means that we're going to get a West Allen wedding anytime soon. You'd have to assume that's the case, but I don't know. They haven't filmed it yet. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's like, you know, Iris is probably meant to die around the time of like the finale or the second last episode. So they'll probably have that wedding in like episode 21 or episode 20 or something along those lines. But the big ending was when Wally, you know, just casually going to get some Big Belly Burger when he thought he was going to get some from Jesse. So Big Belly Burger cockblock, I guess. But he's on his way to get Big Belly Burger and wow, who's there? Who just pops out of nowhere? Savitar just out of the Speed Force. Now, I think, from what I remember from the synopsis for next episode, I think Wally's just seeing Savitar, from what I remember. I don't think Savitar is actually out of the Speed Force because he's got that connection to the Philosopher's Stone. That's actually in the Speed Force, so that would have to pop out of the Speed Force for it to work. But yeah, that's just a cliffhanger to get you pumped for next week, and I'm pretty excited, but I will have my trailer breakdown out for that episode later on, so keep your eyes out for that. But overall, I thought this episode was really fun. It had a lot of cool moments. The Accelerated Man, just like the Gorilla Grodd, or the Gorilla City Army, might I say. Savitar right at the end as well. I did love the interactions between both of the Harrison Wells in HR and Harry. I don't know when we'll see Harry next. I don't mind. I like HR. Like, I actually really, I'm not going to say I don't mind him. Like, I actually really like HR as a Harrison Wells. I really like Harry, and I really like the Earth 1 Harrison Wells from season 1, like the Eobard Thorn controlled one. So it's not like I'm really disappointed that Harry's going back, because I think HR is a good enough substitute to have there, and I think he's fun to hang out with. But in regards to seeing Harry again, we might see him next episode. I think it really matters what happens with Jesse Quick, especially if like Wally and Jesse go to Earth 2 to see him like they said they were going to do. But I wouldn't be expecting Harry back anytime soon. The only like massive gripes I had with the episode were that like nuclear launch scene. I did think it was filler, and they could have spent more time on the battle between, you know, the Speedsters and the Gorillas. And then that leads on to the fact that I was sort of disappointed with the battle between the Speedsters and the Gorilla Army, might I say, just because it was very underwhelming. I thought it was going to be much bigger than it was. I understand CGI cost would have been a lot, but even then it was a bit disappointing, even though the Savitar versus Grodd fight was really cool. But thanks for watching, guys. If you did enjoy the video, it'd be very much appreciated if you could drop a like on it just to show your support. Let me know in the comments section down below what was your favourite part of the episode. Were you sort of disappointed with the Gorilla Army versus Speedster fight as well? I don't know, I might be like on my own, but I was a bit underwhelmed by it, so let me know if you agree with me. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.